With Arsenal playing yet another game in a couple of days' time, it's a great time to start talking about Atalanta in the Champions League. Now, with the new format, points are very important early on, but there has to be thought about the Manchester City game on the weekend. In this video, we're going to talk about the potential lineup that I think Arsenal should play and how Arsenal can get away with a good result in this tough game. So let's get into it. Now, unfortunately, Arsenal got, I would argue, one of the hardest games in this week compared to a lot of teams, and Atalanta away is certainly not an easy start. It is definitely going to be one of the toughest games we have to play. Gasperini, their coach, is a brilliant manager and did brilliantly to win Atalanta the Europa League last season. And Atalanta is going to be a really good example of how Arteta can deal with different oppositions abroad. They play a 5-back system, which is a very aggressive system as well, and often their two central midfielders will go out wide to create the width while their wing backs go even further up. This creates even more overlaps for them, and they don't really look to progress the ball down the middle, only if one of the attacking players, one of the two strikers let's say, will come deeper into the hole and find that space. This means teams often try to counter them by putting a winger to go out wide or a midfielder to cover that area, which can be bad as you can leave gaps in the midfield with the 10s of the other team coming deeper. And often they will have one of their strikers, usually De Calcaterra or even some of their other players, come deeper to create triangles with their fullback and defender to sort of help them get easy progression up the pitch, even going long or being able to pass through with runners from deep. And a lot of the time they prioritise early crosses and try to get the ball into the box to the main striker, while one of them will go out on the wing to help even the wing backs who have pushed up or the attacking midfielder who has a bit of a free roam position. But their 5-back situation is also not necessarily a passive one. They are very much a team that likes to press on the front foot. Their two strikers and attacking midfielder are intent presses, where the attacking midfielder will kind of gauge an area through the middle first and then help the ball down to the wings. And they are very committed to a man-to-man pressing approach and will run around a lot in midfield. And if a team gets further deeper to them, they will always get their midfielders to come across and try and help the fullbacks to go and 2v1 them in all situations. Now, this is a problem that's actually been happening quite a bit for them this season, where they are doubling up on wingers that get down the wing. They're not really thinking about the pullback and the instant cross from someone on the other team. This happened a few times on the weekend when they played Fiorentina, where they would pass the ball back and in that half space area they would cross it first time in and scored twice from it. This was causing some issues for Atalanta, and although they have definitely done really well at specialising their tactics in that Leverkusen game last year in the Europa League, for instance, they were amazing, they have definitely got some personnel problems as well. Key players Scalvini and Scamacca have been injured for a long time now, and while their key man is undoubtedly Lookman, who had another great game on the weekend just coming back, who is an amazing dribbler from deep, great first time crosser very early on, and can be very clinical inside the box while also being an aerial threat. A lot of their players have struggled to get up with the new ideas of Gasperini, considering they've got a lot of key players who are new in new areas. And I do expect Atalanta in this game to play a little bit more defensive than they have against other opponents, and their 5-back has been in the past quite adaptable at going into a low block situation and being with each other with the midfielders coming deeper. Now, this is why I kind of want Arsenal on the ball to play a bit of a 3-1-6 situation. Of course, the 3-2-5 is going to be our go-to on the ball to try and get to them attacking areas, but they will be man upping us with their 5 backs, and maybe a 6 will give us that extra man in some of them wing situations. This is why I think that Arsenal need to be very careful with their lineup. I still think Arsenal shouldn't play all their main players because we do have Man City at the weekend, and losing to Atalanta really isn't the end of the world considering how the league system matters, because although points are very important, not getting in the top 8 and coming 9 to 15 is actually not the end of the world, because you play a playoff against a team you're probably better than. It's not the end of the world, but I do think Arsenal can get at Atalanta a lot, and I think the physical presence of Arsenal's attack is going to be very important in this game. They seem to have a liability from crosses in general, and since Scalvini hasn't been there through injury, their players this season haven't been very adaptable at getting in swinging crosses, and more importantly just getting to the ball in time. That is something that Arsenal have got better at, and if we can keep getting the balls into people like Havertz who should be playing, then I understand that we should be able to get some key chances for our attackers. And I definitely think there will be chances in us this game, because Atalanta Atalanta this season have gone balls to the walls, a bit aggressive going forward, which have led to them conceding a lot of goals. They also seem to be a little bit lackluster from second balls within the box. They get a lot of players in there, but when there's a lot of physicality, they kind of lose it a little bit, and they've actually conceded a lot from this season. I think this is something that Arsenal could get at them, and filling the box with more big physical players could be very important. However, because Atalanta are going to want to break quickly, they're going to want to go in transition, and they're going to be very, very heavy on the dribbles and trying to get past players. I do think having some players like Calafiori come in with his running could be very vital in a game like this. I also think genuinely Arsenal should rest some of their players. I think Yuri and Timber had a great game of the weekend and should be rested for Man City, because Arsenal do have so many left backs that they could easily play in this game. I would love to see Calafiori play his debut from the start. I would love to see even Kivior come in, because he has experience in the Serie A, and one of them can play centre back if you need to in this game, because I don't think we need to play Gabriel and Saliba the whole time. I also think there is definitely some ways that Arsenal can do some stuff in midfield. Having Rice as the defensive midfielder, as the one guy that can sort of sit there and wait, could be very important in this game. You could even play him in a double pivot with Jorginho, but I personally think that's a bit too conservative, especially for a team that are going to go majority down the wing compared to the middle. However, it can give you very much good passing from deep, which could also give us a lot of attack and outlets. I would definitely like to see Rice in there. He's had a considerable rest now because he didn't play on the weekend, so he should definitely be playing in this game. And although I would love to give Havertz a rest, I do think his physicality could be very important and could be vital in that midfield. A midfield of these two with Nwaneri started would be exciting to see. I think Nwaneri has proven to everyone that he can definitely bring a lot to this team and be capable enough of playing, and for me this is a good example, a great time to play him in from the start of a game next to Havertz and Rice or Jorginho if you want to do that, who will definitely teach him and learn with him. And he is someone that can pick the ball up from deep and give that dribbling factor back to Atalanta to get us on the break, which they're going to want to do to us. I also think his physical levels are good enough to play in this game. And now annoyingly, crossing I think is going to be very important against Atalanta, and I would love to see Bukayo Saka play, but he came up with cramp the other day, and I do think it is not necessarily worth risking him. Maybe put him on the bench and he could come on if we need him to, but we have wingers now that I feel like can play in games like this, and we've got Man City of course on the weekend. I think you could easily see Martinelli and Sterling start this game. They're very dribble heavy players, can cross the ball in as well and get one-on-one against the winger, but also they are both players that are very familiar with passing the ball back to someone I feel like could cross the ball in from deep, which is something that has been going against Atalanta before. This is why you could potentially see someone like Zinchenko play, but he is injured of course, so we'll have to see if he's fit. But in my opinion, this is a game that you play Martinelli because he can do a lot of good work, can get the space that he wants, and he's not on great form. I know we keep playing him and we're hoping he gets better, and I do think against Tottenham he showed some signs of getting better, but this is a game where he can stand up and be brave, and I don't really think this is a game for Trossard in many senses. I think maybe if you need him to score a goal, bring him on of course like usual, and he can be very clinical in the final third. For how Atalanta play, I just don't see how it really fits with Trossard overall. And of course I would love to see Gabriel Jesus up front. He should be fully fit now. He came on the other day, and I think this is a really good opportunity. We know how good he is in the Champions League anyway, and I'd love to see what he can bring to the side, so maybe if he plays well he could definitely consider starting him in that Man City game on the weekend. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think should be the team that Arsenal play. I don't think we should go full strength, but I still think it needs to be quite strong in many ways, but I would love to see a start for Nwaneri personally. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please go and watch my video yesterday where I spoke about Gabriel's brilliant performance in the North London derby, and if not, I'll see you in the next one.